So I am going to try and be as honest as I can here for two reasons. One being it's the best way to avoid rumour, speculation, that sort of thing. And two is a selfish reason, and that I need to get it off my chest. Now, it's going to be difficult for me, I think, to remain concise and to the point, but I will do my absolute utmost. So, Tardis will, for the foreseeable future, not be joining any of our World of Tanks streams that we do on Twitch over on the weekend. And two things I really want to clarify first. One, I hold absolutely no ill will towards Tardis. I wish him the absolute best. Two, I want to avoid negativity as much as we can. This is by no means a witch hunt. I have respect for the guy. And you're welcome in the comments, share your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. That's fine. Hell, if you want to be negative, you can be negative all you want. This situation, quite frankly, is shit. It is inherently negative. However, this is one of the few videos where I will be actively removing any comments that I deem to be outright malicious, anything encouraging hatred or inciting harassment towards Tardis. I will remove that, and you stand a good chance of being comment blocked on my channel as well. Tardis, especially right now, has enough negativity on his mind without you lovely gents and ladies adding to it. So just please be respectful of the people and the feelings involved in this situation. Now, I recognise that this situation may come about as being a bit abrupt for a lot of you, and that's one of the reasons I'm making this video, because my audience is split in a way where most of my Twitch viewers also watch my YouTube content, but a lot of my YouTube viewers are not over on Twitch. And so, for those of you here on YouTube who only watch this stuff, everything that I'm about to talk about, pretty much everything, is stuff that you haven't seen. So, for whom that applies, you're going to have to take my word for the fact that I'm being sincere and I'm addressing real issues that are present when I cannot control the content that I'm presenting to my audience. And it's worth noting as well that the last conversation me and Tardis had, I did ask his opinion on how he wanted this to be presented to you guys, because I thought that was only fair, and he did say that honesty was what he wanted, and it was in line with how I wanted to deal with it as well. So this is not being made behind his back. So, couple of things to note before I get into my spew here. Tardis recently was diagnosed with autism and later bipolar. The guy has a lot on his plate, right? A lot on his plate. But from my point of view, I have been feeling an incredible amount of stress and aggravation when I come to sit down to stream on the weekend. And I associate most of that, I mean, some of it can be attributed to my autism. It's just I have mood swings, you know, I'm up and down. Yesterday I was very stressed and did my best, but just couldn't, you know, find the same level of enjoyment in playing the game or in streaming that I usually can. That maybe is attributed to this situation, I don't know. But when I sit down to stream, most of that stress and aggravation is attributed, rightfully or wrongly, to Tardis. And it's horrible to sit here and say this, but because I don't know. When I sit down, when I come to stream, I don't know whether Tardis is going to be happy, whether he's going to be sad, whether he's going to be in the middle and then break off halfway from the stream, whether he's going to make comments or go on a rant or fail to express himself as he wants, and everyone gets confused, and then he gets aggravated by the fact that he can't express himself, or whether he is going to pick up a knife and stab himself in the heart over and over again, every time with his lack of self-esteem and his comments attacking himself. That unpredictability is torture, for me particularly. It's one of my weaknesses. As an autistic person, I favour situations that I can control, that I can anticipate, and that I can understand. And especially in an environment where I am naturally stressed on stream. I want to hit a certain standard, a baseline of content, when just games are going alright, and we just keep going, and then we hit a high point when there's good RNG or an exciting game, we go up, and then we're back down to consistency, right? When Tardis is present, it becomes... and that unpredictability is horrible for me, personally. I reckon other people can relate to that as well, maybe not from an autistic standpoint, but just from a logical standpoint. I think it's more pleasant when stuff is consistent. One of the main things that we talked about with Tardis, and that we have talked about, I mean, you've got to understand, we've been playing with the guy for 24 years. Myself and Peabody in particular have sat down with him in meeting after meeting to talk through various issues that he's had, be it the Yoda voice, be it his Quickie Baby rants, or his hatred towards Quickie Baby being showcased on stream, getting triggered by Fortnite, all these buttons that are being pushed. There's loads of examples through the time that we've been playing with him, and I want to clarify that every time we've sat down with him and had meetings of this sort, he has taken what we've said on board and worked at it. And in many areas, he has made serious progress. He has come forward in a lot of ways. And some part of me begrudges him for that, because it made it harder for me to do what I needed to do for me in the end. Because the man does try. He really does. And at his heart, he has a heart of gold. And that's one of the reasons that it's so much harder to do what I had to do, because nothing about this situation has come about because of malicious intent on his part. At no point did he ever want this. At no point did he ever want to hurt me, or the stream, or my chances. I'll believe that to my dying day. It's a horrible situation to be in because of that. I don't know if any of you have ever been around an individual that has... I mean, Tardis has very low self-esteem. At his heart, very low self-esteem. And so, we've talked to him before about self-deprecation. It's a way of making comedy out of insulting yourself, basically. And that works for a particular type of content and a particular type of person. I use it a lot. But what self-deprecation relies on is an implicit self-confidence. It's your ability to say, "Hello, this stream's brought to you by idiots. Well, I could have done better in life if I wasn't a complete goit." The key with self-deprecation, it's not tone or timing so much as other genres of comedy. It's the fact that when you say these things, you don't believe them. There's that self-confidence compels you to a point where you can insult yourself and you can insult your friends without them taking it to heart, because that self-confidence is there for them to fall back on. That's how self-deprecation works. The issue that Tardis has is that when he says, "Oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm useless. I'm this and that. Why do I even bother?" He 100% believes that he is the scum of the earth, that he is the worst thing ever, that he is terrible, that he is useless, that he is everything that he hates when he looks in the mirror and sees himself. And I don't know if any of you have ever been around an individual who does that. Just randomly, when they're feeling down, they will pick up anything they can get and they will stab it into the softest part of their body. It is exhausting. It is draining mentally, physically, to be around a person who hurts themselves like that, especially someone that you care about. When they're doing that, it's the worst thing in the world, because the healthiest thing for me to do is to get distance, and yet you've built up a friendship, you've built up lines and support networks that the person relies on. I'd like to think, Tardis has, he said it himself, he's derived a lot of comfort and security and fun and enjoyment from what we do. I value that. And so to cut that off feels like a betrayal. And I'm sure this video and this situation, makes Tardis feel like a piece of shit, and myself included. But I think, and it's difficult for me because I've never been in this situation before, and I can be cold and callous when it's needed. It may not seem like it, but as an example, when my mother, when I was in secondary school, had an acoustic neuroma, which is a cancerous tumour, as a brain tumour, and she could have died, and I didn't feel the emotional impact or weight of that for years afterwards. I was cold and almost numb to it, and I can kind of do that deliberately. I could just say, okay, I want nothing to do with this situation, but I feel like that's almost cowardly in some ways. It doesn't do the situation justice, and I think if I took the easy way out, it would become so much harder in the future to deal with these situations. And at the end of the day, I really hope that I can come out on the other side of this stronger and having learned from it. That would be the ideal situation. I think at some point a situation like this has to become, and it has now become, black and white. As far as I'm concerned, my stream and my YouTube, what I do there, they have to be considered my career. I'm putting enough effort into them, and I want to do them as long as I can. I put passion, I put effort, and I put time into what I do and what I produce. And the most tragic thing is Tardis, by no intent of his own, is jeopardizing that. I've had people who I won't name because I don't think it's my right to. I've had people say to me that his behaviour, his crass humour, the sexual innuendos, the hurting himself all the time with his comments, is the reason that they're not around more, that they don't watch the stream more. And I get that perfectly. I mean, it's why I'm here now. I was in tears the other day talking to him, because it's a culmination of 3 or 4 years of stress, of trying to sort this out, of trying to hip-hop skip into the right dynamic so that we could continue with our friendship on stream and get the best, because when Tardis is in a good mood, we have some fantastic content. We really do. But it's not worth the aggravation the lack of consistency. For me, as I say, as an autistic individual, I need that. And so, at the end of the day, it's come down to, I have to think about my career apart from my friendships. And that's a challenging thing in one way for me to do, and not in another way. There's an autistic side of me that it looks at situations in a very analytical and cold way, as I said before. And that part of me finds it easy to logically look at what I need to do. But it's the actual doing it and knowing that people are going to be hurt in the process. That's the real stressor, I guess. So, the main issue I think that I'm facing, or what's causing me stress right now, and it's helping to talk about it, so I thank everyone for giving me the time to do so. The stressor I have now is, during our conversation, I was playing, Tardis was stressed, Peabody was stressed as well. Wasn't as bad as one time we had a conversation before about Tardis streaming together, and I was yelling in tears, and that was horrible. Right? During the last conversation, I said to Tardis he's welcome to join us playing off stream, because, as I say, people on YouTube, you only see the best, right? And that makes it easier for me, because on stream I am constantly aware that everything is content, right? Every single thing we do and say can be scrutinized. It is on the internet. It is content. It is something that I want to be proud of every single second. Whereas YouTube, then when we play off stream, I can cut out all the shit, all the bullshit. Every time, all the crass humor, all the overly consistent sexual humor and stuff, which doesn't fall in line with my humor, I can cut it out. Right? Occasionally it's funny, it's kind of jokes that are funny maybe once, and then stop being funny. So I can cut all that out, and so that gives me back that form of control over my content, and it results in less stress for me. So playing with Tardis off stream is less stressful for me, but it doesn't solve a problem. It doesn't solve the reason why I don't want to stream with him. And so I don't know. It's hard to define whether it's cowardice or bravery that makes me step away from a person like that. That makes me step away from a situation like that. Is it cowardice to not plow forward for the sake of someone else's mental health? Or is it bravery to step away from it for the sake of my own? I don't know. And there's another thing as well. I mean, I don't know how Tardis feels. I haven't spoken to him since we had this conversation about him not streaming with us anymore, or not playing with us on stream anymore. I don't know how Tardis feels about... I don't know how... I genuinely don't know how you move on from a situation like this. The stream was a source of comfort, stress reliever for Tardis, I think. I don't know how we get onto the TeamSpeak again and talk to each other after this without that weighing over our head like a cloud. And it would be significantly easier for me to just say, okay, that's our friendship, it's done, put in a box, close, it's a chapter of my life, that's gone. That would be significantly easier. In some ways, I think that has merit, but that feels more like cowardice to me than bravery. Like, I can see where I need to take steps for my own mental health and for my career, but I don't know, in an area where we're talking about YouTube content, where I have more control, that's when it starts to feel like I'm being cowardly. I'm trying to take the easy way out, and just say, okay, I don't want this aggravation. I don't want this in my life. I want to choose these people, to be around these people who are healthy, these people who make me feel secure and happy and consistent. And I don't think it's wrong for me to want to do that. But God, 24 years of this, like, I don't consider myself a cowardly or weak person, certainly not weak emotionally. Like, as an autistic person, I'm terrified of weird things. It's a chore for me to go out and go to the shops. It's a chore for me to get my hair cut, right? Because I have to sit down and let some person with scissors cut my hair. Like, I have trials that a lot of people don't relate to. Like, both me and Tardis end up fighting monsters that no one else can see. But I can do it. We both can. Like, Tardis came down to see me one time. That wasn't easy for him. He did it. If I have to go out and buy some food, I fucking man up and do it. If I have to walk the dog, I do it. Like, there are some things in life that you just have to do. Like, shit happens. But when that turns into 3 or 4 years of unpredictability, of inconsistency, it becomes in itself toxic. And personally, I don't want any more of that. Every part of me just wants to say, I don't want to risk it again. I don't want to open that door again and open that up. I don't want to. But it doesn't mean I shouldn't. And so I think that's the note I want to leave it on. Because this is a situation in my life that I've not encountered before, and I'd like help. I'd like advice. There are many people out there who will have experienced a situation like this, and they'll be far more knowledgeable than myself about it. So please do share your thoughts on the situation. You know, how do you think I should progress with this? Because I just don't know. I know what I want to do, but I'm also well aware that my wants are inherently selfish, and it's a question of whether that is a necessity or whether it is simply a want. And I think that distinction is in the end going to decide how I progress in this situation. So I'd very much like your opinions. As I say, please be respectful of the people involved. As I say, I hold absolutely no ill will towards Tardis. I wish him the absolute best. It's just a shitty situation that I don't think we are compatible people anymore. I have tried, I've put a lot of time and effort into Tardis, and he has as well. By no means am I discounting that. He's come forward in a lot of ways. But it's just too much. I'm tired. I'm really tired. So, share your thoughts, gentlemen, ladies, please. And, yeah, I will try and get a video up for Friday. But, as I say, it's been a difficult week for me. So, Thank you very much for your time.